previously, this council voted not to pay my attorney's fees with regard to an issue involving the Open Meetings Act. And I would just like to put this council on notice, as well as providing some additional details that perhaps the whole council is not aware of. This city council, the Attorney General's office, found violated the Open Meetings Act numerous times in the past several months with regard to police consolidation. This is a situation where, when it was first proposed that there was possibly talk of shared services with regard to the police department, people became alarmed because this had never been discussed at any open meeting. Then I was approached by several Peru residents to look into the matter, and they retained me to look into it. I had requested copies of the minutes as well as the recordings from the Open Meetings Act. I was given the minutes, which were extremely defective, in my opinion, as well as the Attorney General's opinion, because when you have an hour and a half closed session meeting and the minutes are literally 3 sentences, that does not convey what was actually addressed in that closed session meeting. So when I didn't get anywhere with the City of Peru, I then filed a complaint or request for investigation and review with the Attorney General's office, who then looked into it. They listened to your closed session recordings, and they determined that the City of Peru did in fact violate the Open Meetings Act on numerous occasions. And based on that, then the recordings were provided to me and my clients, to which they were reviewed by them. And at this point in time, my clients have now incurred attorney's fees for me obtaining those closed session recordings, okay? Now, under the Open Meeting Act, if a council violates the Open Meeting Act, a lawsuit can ensue, okay? And my clients could ask for numerous remedies. One, they could ask for an injunction against the City Council to refrain from violating the Open Meetings Act in the future. They could ask that anything discussed in those closed session meetings being declared null and void, so you have to start over. And there were several discussions. I think one was about creation of the Shared Services Committee, as well as buying of certain property, which was exempt, as well as they could ask, in addition to an injunction, as well as the meetings declared null and void, they could also ask that the meetings be conducted over, and they would also be entitled to attorney's fees. So to avoid that lengthy litigation for my clients to get their attorney's fees back, I sent a letter to the City of Peru and said, if you pay on behalf of my clients, so they don't have to pay me, and then in turn have to sue the City of Peru, which then would incur additional costs, such as filing fees as well as additional attorney's fees, because once we go into litigation, my fees continue, as well as the City of Peru retaining counsel to defend the lawsuit. Additionally, if a city council violates the Open Meetings Act willfully, and on this particular situation, in this occasion, you have a council violated it 4 times. And so, also under the Open Meetings Act, it's also a criminal act to violate Open Meetings Act intentionally. So I did discuss that with my clients about possibly pursuing criminal charges, to which they said, no, what we want from our elected officials is just open government. So as long as you go and you explain to them that at this point in time, we're not going to seek criminal charges because this may have been an oversight, but going forward, just warn them not to do it again, because the first time you violate Open Meetings Act, although this is classifying as 4 separate instances, since it was the same discussion, the same topic throughout 4 separate meetings, they said as long as you warn them not to do it again, there won't be a problem, because now the council is on notice that, according to the Attorney General's office in the Open Meetings Act, to go into executive closed session, there are certain exceptions, but they're very, very narrow exceptions. We can't just say as a city council, well, we might talk about buying a property, so we're going to go into closed session. No, you can go into closed session if you're talking about specific property, a specific price, and specifics with regard to that. Same with employment. When you went into closed session to discuss the sharing of police services, it was under the false pretense of, oh, we might have to, this might involve employment. No, Employment means we're talking about John Smith's employment, disciplinary actions, and somebody specific. So at this point in time, they did not ask me to pursue criminal charges because they wanted me to put the council on notice that this was kind of your warning one time. But in light of the council's decision not to pay my client's attorney's fees to me, going forward, we will have to file suit in the Circuit Court of LaSalle County and litigate it that way. So I just wanted the council to be aware, because I don't know what correspondence the council gets or how aware the council is when someone sends a Freedom of Information Act request and they receive a reply, or when someone such as myself on behalf of my clients files something with the Attorney General's office. I don't know how aware the council is that that's going on. So in this particular instance, I just wanted to advise the council as to the backstory, what's going on, and what's going to go forward from here. Because, to be honest with you, if I was on a council and I said, well, see, I got a $3,000 bill from some attorney, no, we're not going to pay that. We have our own city attorney. But this is kind of the facts and circumstances surrounding that bill. So I just wanted to make the council more aware.
You're well over your limit, and we're getting a little repetitious. Who's your client?
Well, I'm not going to disclose them at this point in time because they wish to remain anonymous. If filing suit, we may have to file as a Jane Doe or a John Doe. These are people that are concerned about possible retaliation living in such a small community. And people scoff at that. But it's an actual fear that people have about speaking out against certain members of the council as well as Chief Burnaby. So at this point in time, I won't disclose that, but if I need to, I will later. If I file a lawsuit with their anonymity and the court orders me to disclose them, then I will.
Will you be billing us for this legal advice that you just gave us?
No.
Thank you.
And additionally, the bill did not include conferences with clients, because not only did the city of Peru violate the Open Meetings Act, so did Spring Valley and LaSalle, potentially. But unlike Peru, when I sent a request to Spring Valley and LaSalle for the minutes and recordings, they said, here you go. We're gonna be open and transparent with you, here you go. The city of Peru did not do that, which required more investigation involving the Attorney General's office. So my bill right there was bare minimum. I could have doubled twice that bill if I included additional comments with my clients regarding other matters, about the documents that I received, listening to tapes, as well as discussions I had with LaSalle and Spring Valley. So this particular bill related to Peru only. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Anybody else?